Good morning, everyone. Logan White, as I was introduced, I studied abroad with you guys a few years ago. I'm currently a junior at UC Merced, studying public health and economics. And I'm also a student entrepreneur. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about what I'm doing today.
My name is Matthew Sandeas. I was born and raised in Arcata. I went to Arcata High School, graduated CR with fire science back in 2014. Just graduated HSU with recreation administration and business entrepreneur minor. And I had the inspiration to start a nonprofit 3 years ago, and got a phone call from this lovely gentleman a few months ago saying he has some great ideas and how to network and collaborate with nonprofits. So without further ado, our presentation is updating how we give Humboldt's local nonprofit entrepreneurs. Today we're going to be talking about some growing distrust among donors and nonprofits, otherwise known as NGOs, and some problems faced by small nonprofits, and some solutions for donor distrust, and some problems that nonprofits and NGOs face.
So to start, growing donor distrust, I'll show you some statistics in a second, of NGOs is largely rooted in the fact that donors are not always aware of what their money's doing, where it's going, or the real impact their money has within the community. Often it's a community far away and they're not aware of the impact they have. So if we could go to the next slide. So the data for this is from a study that's been running every year for 17 years. They survey over 35,000 people globally and try to measure how much trust and faith people have in different industries. One of the industries they measure is the nonprofit industry. And 2017 marks an all-time low for how much trust people have globally in nonprofits, where only 53% of people globally trust nonprofits. In 11 countries, NGOs are less trusted than business itself. And this really kind of highlights what we're going to begin to highlight as a problem, as if the people who are supposed to be funding nonprofits to do their job don't trust nonprofits to do their job, this can lead to many problems, especially lack of donations. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the future. The next thing I want to highlight is what I call the donation gap. So annually, individual Americans, not funds, grants, anything else, individual Americans, you guys, donate over $270 billion to nonprofits. That's a lot of money. But half of that money gets swallowed up by the largest 23 NGOs in the nation. And it doesn't end there. You know, number 24 and 25 get a large chunk of change as well. And grassroots organizations, smaller organizations, struggle to garnish the donations they need. They struggle with donor exhaustion and many other problems that Matt's going to highlight in a second.
So some lack of funds that these small NGOs are seeing. Small nonprofits have a more difficult time of receiving funds. And why this is because one of the reasons is frequent donor exhaustion, which I've been able to see for the last 3 years. Being in the small community, running a nonprofit, we've had some of the same donors every year to every quarter of the year. And we're at year 3 and seeing, some of them, getting a little exhausted with how much money they want to give us every year before we go to Africa, which I'll tell you about in a second. And building trust between donors and NGOs can be difficult sometimes, but for my nonprofit, I like to be as transparent as possible, do reports after we travel, and let them know exactly where their money is going through pictures and emails. And through lack of grant funding is another big thing also, because I've taken a grant writing class at HSU a year ago. I really wanted to get involved with grant writing, but I still find it super difficult to get them approved and get them fully funded.
So then here's one other, so I have the privilege of speaking to someone high up at CARE, which if you're not familiar, CARE is a nonprofit that generates about $500 million a year. They're one of the largest players in the game. And I was talking a little bit about donor distrust, and I said, so if a donor wants to give to you guys and say, hey, here's my money, I want you to buy medical kits in Ghana, or I want my money to go to refugees in Syria and Greece. How much would they need to give? And he said, before we could even begin to have that conversation, we need a minimum donation of about $30,000. Something that's not feasible for the average donor, to just give $30,000. However, if you're not able to do that, you're not able to entirely know what your money is doing. And this feeds the problem of distrust in the community, amongst NGOs and amongst donors.
One second. Let's go to that slide. So the nonprofit that I started a few years ago, I'm sure the slide will change in a second. There we go. It's called Inspire One. And what we do is we focus on education and village improvement projects in Uganda, Africa. And since then, I've brought in 18 volunteers to Uganda, teaching at a school for orphans, doing village improvement work with multiple different villages, and collaborating with a nonprofit over there who I'm constantly emailing and contacting. And this picture right here is a volunteer holding up a sign that says "Shoes That Grow," which is a bag of amazing shoes that we were able to hand out to all 100 children at this school. Thanks to John Golem and this club. John contacted me last year and said, hey, I hear you go to Uganda every year, would you like to bring 100 shoes? And we brought 3 huge duffel bags through the plane and got all these kids' shoes. And a little side note, some of those kids are walking 20 minutes to an hour and a half one way to school. I saw with my own eyes some infections and pus oozing out of toes, that these shoes are going to help. So, John, thank you.
And this highlights the effectiveness of smaller NGOs. You're able to say, we have these shoes and I know they can serve a great purpose. Are you able to give them to the people who would really benefit most? And Matt's able to say, absolutely, I'd love to. In fact, we need more donations like that. Whereas working with larger entities, you're not able to make such a donation.
And so this school right here is a school that I travel to once a year and bring volunteers. This year, we're leaving on June 21st, and we're bringing along 6 others. In 2015, we launched our first trip to Uganda, and myself and 8 others, all born and raised in Humboldt County. We had a South Fork High graduate, Fortuna High graduate, Arcata and MPA grads. Oldest there was 23. So I created a platform for individuals to exercise volunteer opportunities abroad. And so having a passion for the school, being there the last few years, every year, this school, it will be terminated because the landowner wants to use the buildings as homes to rent out to make money. So we have dedicated our efforts to build a new school and buy land, which is a $20,000 project budgeted by local contractors and city council in the local area. So, after I got contact with Logan, he says, hey, I have some ideas on how to get nonprofits more exposure. Let's work together, and here we are.
So yeah, through my experience studying public health, economics, and then I spent a semester in Botswana studying public health, working in clinics, and working with nonprofits over there, I really started to feel a lot of these problems that Matt faces from donor exhaustion and not being able to reach into a larger donor pool, from not being able to get grant funding, from missing trust in the community, and I said, something's wrong here, this is outdated, why aren't these nonprofits who are doing great work getting the funding they need to get? So I started brainstorming, trying to figure out how we can best fix this problem. I noticed another large problem is a lot of these small NGOs really still rely on cash donations, check donations, or wire transfers from a governmental agency like USAID. And that's not necessarily how the world at large works anymore. The younger generation, Silicon Valley, where the world's beginning to run, really works off of online transfers or through your phone with Apple Pay, Venmo, PayPal, Android Pay, credit, debit cards. And you know, if I have to give someone $20 in a check and a bill, I'm inconvenienced. I have to go to the bank, to an ATM. It's really difficult. And it sounds crazy, but it's a problem that's happening at large. Sweden's moving its economy away from paper money. It's going to dry up. And if these nonprofits are reliant on paper money, cash contributions, checks, people aren't going to go out of their way to write a check to give away the money. Not that many people care that much. So we needed to update the framework and how these nonprofits get money, receive money, and how they're able to reach out to the world and connect with people everywhere so they can access larger donor pools. Well, I guess, hold on. So this is part of the front page of the website I'm designing, we're still working on, so that nonprofits can, well, once they become vetted through a vetting process we have, they're allowed to post projects on the website asking for funds around the world. And I also wanted to give accountability to, from donors to help fix the problem of trust. So here you see Saving a School in Uganda. This is an example of what Matt's project will look like once we officially launch in the future. And you see there's $1,000 still needed, assuming he needed 20,000. So if we click on the next slide, if a donor clicks, they'll be welcome to a page similar to this. This is edited a little so it can fit on the slide. But here, so you notice donation rewards. So post operators, managers of their own NGOs, are able to offer an incentive to donors for donating over a certain threshold to their project, which helps incentivize donors and engages donors and really what the difference is that they're making. Then you're able to see a biography or a summary about the project and what the nonprofit's hoping to accomplish. Below is a project budget. You can click on and see exactly how funds are allocated. And we're working to change this so that the budget is automatically posted next to the summary, and you can just click on items in the budget and automatically donate and know what you're purchasing as soon as you're buying, or as soon as you're making a donation. Then you click to donate here, and you're able to donate through all the platforms I mentioned: PayPal, Venmo, Apple Pay, Android Pay, and all it requires is that the NGO on the other side has a bank account, which most of them do. And donors then are able to communicate about their donation, about how they feel, and about how they feel about the project to hopefully help motivate other donors to give money. So if everything goes well, we'll see this page quite often where a project's successfully financed, and we can save the school in Uganda, the kids can continue their education, they can continue to get meals every day, and we can really use this platform to make the world a better place. So then we started building, on the back side of the website, a platform where NGO operators, project managers are really able to better organize their posts and their projects and their donation drives so they can have live updates on how much money they've raised. And it's really a tool where they can run all of their fundraising projects very simply. So here you can see, here's the Save the School project. Here's another fictitious project. Well, this one's real, but post isn't. This project is fictitious. It's cattle for the people of the village he works in, and he can have as many posts as he wants. And through this, is really able to reach the global internet community, get donations quickly, and not have to worry about, are we going to have the funds to operate next year or next month. They can really focus on the impact that he and other operators want to do. We then go a step further to, so this in itself, the donor pool, really takes care of donor exhaustion in a sense by letting you speak to a global community. But then, next slide please. Yeah. We want to foster relationships between these nonprofits. So it's not just one time someone donates to Matt, but they create a relationship with them. So when someone donates, the post operator automatically gets the email of the person who donated by virtue of you having to provide your email when you donate. So it's loaded to the back end, and this is only accessible by the account manager for their specific nonprofit. And this allows them to see how much someone donated, their name, their email, to reach out and say, thank you so much, would you like further contact about what we're doing, or can I get your shipping address to provide you with the reward you receive for donating above a certain threshold, et cetera, et cetera. This allows operators like that to really create a long-lasting relationship with donors and not just rely on the same donors every year in his and their respective local communities. So, some final points to conclude
2
on.
minutes? Okay.
Growing donor distrust is rooted in donors not having faith in the system of nonprofits and not knowing where the money goes and not knowing really the impact the money's having.
And then another point is that local NGOs deliver some of the most efficient use of donor dollars to solve problems and better able to communicate with the donors. Here's a great quote from Bill Gates we thought suited for this speech, and I'm going to quickly go to the next slide. Just the end, if you want to start.
Yeah, so just to really conclude, today I was hoping I could educate people on some of the problems faced by small nonprofits and in the nonprofit industry at large. But I hope to share with you the work I'm doing on a startup company to fix these problems, to help smaller nonprofits get the funding they need, to help nonprofits better organize and manage their donation drives, and to bring the world together, through globalism and add another feature in which we can all connect and realize we're all human. I'm here for questions afterwards. Feel free to contact me if you want to know more. I think what I'll probably be asked is, yes, we plan to launch next fall. We're planning to add user accounts, a gamification system, and we'll have a mobile app. So thank you.
And like you saw earlier, that school that's 100 orphans. We started a lunch project last summer when we were there. Hired a contractor and a chef and built a kitchen. So now the kids are being fed every single day from our efforts of last summer, which is $500 a month, which we raise through fundraisers and local donators. So if anybody here would like to donate to continue feeding the kids, or talk about how we can work to receive a sizable donation to save the school, please talk to me after this meeting. I'm a Boss Coach Rotary member. I'm the vice president, so I'll be president after July, and I'm going to be in this community forever, so this isn't the last time you'll see me. I'm sure you'll hear more about this in the future, so stay tuned, and thank you for listening.